Hey guys, this lesson is going to be over day 3 observations and inferences, what we would have done in class. So I know a lot of you have done the assignments already, so if you feel like you've got it, go with it. If not, this is here for you to watch as many times as you need. So our objective is to, learn what an observation and inference is and how to tell the difference. So our warm-up for today, it's just going to be on your own, but I just wanted to go over what a Freire model was. So like I told you, the only homework I'm really assigning for you is for the whole entire unit, however long that is. So these vocabulary lists will be due at the end of the unit, okay? So you can do them at your leisure. I suggest doing them in the beginning. I will show you how I want them done. If you've already turned it in for this unit and you haven't done it the way I'm about to show, you need to go back, do it the way I'm about to show you how to do it, and then resubmit, okay? So like I said, the words are already published, they're already there. If you decide to wait and you want to just go through the lessons first, that's completely fine. By the end of the unit, you already have those definitions on your notes if you've been taking them. So you can find these definitions online. Here's a couple examples, or your notes. I go over them, during daily instruction, like I said. Or if you have like a dictionary, like a book at home, you can use that as well. Doesn't matter to me. So this is an example of what it's going to look like. I'm going to go over in detail exactly what this I want in this. So it's going to be like boxes. I don't care if you, copy this and paste it and then type over it in Word and submit it that way for each definition or term. For Word, or if remake it or you draw it out, take a picture, submit it that way. I don't care. Just make sure you get it done, all right? Whatever suits you. So here's an explanation of how you're supposed to do this. So in the middle, you're going to have a box, right? And in the middle of this box is going to be the term. Now, if you're unfamiliar with what the word term means, the term is just the word that I have on that list. So if on the list it said hot, let's just use that example. If it said the word hot, that would be put into the middle of this box. From there, upper left-hand corner, you're going to find a definition. I don't care where you locate it online or in your notes, however, but this is where you're going to write the definition. All right, lower left-hand corner, this is an example, or in other words, a synonym. So if my term is hot, a synonym to hot, based off of the definition, which would mean, higher in temperature, could be warm, because it means the same thing, right? It means pretty much very similar. All right, so lower right-hand corner, you're going to do an antonym or a non-example, what it's not. So hot, an opposite of that, or the antonym of that would be cold, right? Lower in temperature. Pretty self-explanatory if that makes sense. Usually, when you define these, whether it's online or in a book, they give you synonyms and antonyms off the bat. So it shouldn't be hard to find those. And then last but not least, you're going to draw a picture, okay? You can find a picture, you can draw it on the internet, I don't care, but you need to have a picture. So here's an example. Our term is what we need to be using from now on. Our term is science. From there, we defined it. It's the study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment. So, based off that definition, or what you might have found, next to your definition would be your examples. So they have synonyms, in other words. And these are the synonyms that are similar in meaning to the word science, to the term science. And that's knowledge, data, and proof, right? So moving on to our antonyms, the opposite of that, right? If you have data and proof, it's not going to be magic. Okay, it's kind of like make-believe type of thing. That's the opposite of the meaning of science. And disorganization is another antonym. And then here's a picture, probably just found on Google, and pasted, and these are all the things kind of related to the term science. If you have a question about that, you can message me, screenshot this page, and it's also available in Canvas on page 3. Okay, so just a reminder, this is what it needs to look like for each definition or term you do a Frayer model over. All right, this is my expectation. It will not be counted if it's not done this way, guys, so you need to make sure you do it. All right, moving on. We're going to go over inferences and observations. I'm not going to show the videos for things unless it's not on Canvas during my lectures. So you can view this through Canvas. It's just giving you more insight on what inference and observation is, but I'm not going to go into detail over this right now. All right, again, it's in Canvas. The link is if you want to watch it. All right, let's get into our observation and inference lesson. So first off, let's go over the definitions. What is an observation? Well, an observation is information gathered using the five senses, and or scientific tools. The five senses are touch, taste, smell, see, and hear. And also what goes under, the umbrella of an observation is if you can weigh it, you can measure the length of it or measure the temperature of it, right? Using those tools you would use to find those things. Okay. The reason we talk about the five senses because if you can use any of your five senses to make an observation, those are things you witnessed for yourself. I mean, you saw it. You could touch it, taste it, smell it, or hear it, right? In other words, these can be proven, right? These are facts. Now, an inference is a conclusion based on observations and background knowledge. These are things that are kind of almost like guessing. You can't prove it, right? So you didn't see it for yourself, and it may or may not be true. It's a possibility. These are things that can kind of be debated amongst friends, if that makes sense. And we'll get into detail about that. So here's our first example. Based off of this sentence, we're going to look into what an observation of this sentence could be if you put yourself in this situation, or an inference. So, I walked outside and I see and I feel water on the ground. So, if you put yourself in this situation, you woke up and you went outside and you saw and you feel water on the ground. Well, an observation would be the ground is wet. This is something you can see and you can feel for yourself. If I sat there and I can see a puddle of water, that's something I can see and I can feel it underneath my boot, my rain boot or something. It's proven, this is a fact, that the ground is wet. All right, that's an observation. Now these are multiple inferences. If I go outside and I see and I can feel water on the ground, does that mean could it have rained the night before? Possibly. Could someone have dumped the water on the ground? Also a possibility. And someone was watering the lawn with a water hose that morning before I got up? Maybe. Other things that could have happened, the sprinklers could have been on, someone was playing with water balloons. These are all things I cannot prove, right? If you and your sister were to walk outside and see and feel water on the ground, or your sibling, all these inferences are things that you can't prove. You could go back and forth and, who has the best guess, but since neither of you were there to witness how that puddle got there, these are all inferences. So observations, these are facts. The ground is obviously wet, right? But inferences are all possibilities of how the ground got wet. That makes sense to you. Okay, so that's just an example of the difference between the two. So from here, we're going to go on and look at slides. On each slide, there's going to be a statement like the one we saw before. It's going to be either an observation or an inference based on the picture that is shown, okay? So I'm going to give like 5 seconds between each one if you kind of want to play the game, see if you got it right or not. I will go over what it actually is, what that statement is. Okay, so here we have a picture of a woman, right? She's on the phone, she's got her head, got like an ice pack on her head, right? So here's the picture. Someone said the woman is sick. Do you think this is an observation or is this an inference? Okay, so this is an inference, and I'll tell you why. So even though we can kind of guess based off our background knowledge, right? When someone is sick at home, you're usually like all cuddled up, you're cold, maybe the flu, have a cup of tea, right? Calling the doctor, maybe. These are all inferences. And though it looks like she's sick based off of our background knowledge, there's no way for us to know through this picture. That is just a guess. And we go back and forth. Maybe she got in a fight. I don't know. We don't really know. It's just what we're guessing. All right. And no matter how, likely this might be that she is sick, it's still not concrete evidence. We don't have concrete evidence to justify this as a fact, right? And here's why. It could be possible she could be acting, or she might have hit her head. Like I said, she might have hit her head. Who knows what happened, right? Maybe she's just cold, has a headache, is tired. There's just too many possibilities that this could be, and each one of those is an inference. We cannot prove that the woman is sick. So that statement based off of this picture is an inference. All right, so here's the same woman. The woman has a blanket on her shoulders. Is this an observation or is this an inference? All right, so this is an observation. You know why? Because we use one of our five senses to determine that. Our sight, right? We can literally see the blanket on her shoulders. So it's a fact, right? So that's an observation. The woman is talking to someone on the phone. Is this an observation or is this an inference? All right, so this is an inference because we can't prove that, right? It's a good guess. She has a phone on her, right? But maybe she's listening to a message. There's just so many things. It's a possibility at the end of the day. We don't have to go through all of them, but it's a good guess, but it's not a fact. Okay? We can't hear her talking on the phone, so it's not a fact. It's not an observation. It's an inference. The woman is drinking coffee. Is this an observation or an inference? All right, so this is an inference. Why is this an inference? Do we see the coffee? Can we smell the coffee? Did we hear the coffee being poured? No, we didn't, So we can't prove that this is a cup of coffee. It could be a cup of tea. We can't see what it is, right? Based off this picture, like it says, the cup could be empty. We have water, orange juice in it. So the woman is drinking coffee. That's not a fact. We can't prove it. Even if we wanted to prove it, we can't based off this picture, so it's an inference. I hope by now you're kind of getting the hang of the difference between the two definitions. Okay, so now we have a picture of this baseball team. So here's the statement. This team just won the game. Is this observation or an inference? So it's an inference. All right. Why is this an inference? Can we prove they just won the game? It's a good guess because from what we know of baseball, if you've ever watched it, when they win a game, that's when the team comes out and they all celebrate. But it's just a guess. We don't know. We're not there at the at the baseball game to see why they're celebrating. We have no clue. So since we can't prove that it's true that they won the game, it's an inference. It's not an observation. It's possible they're celebrating a home run. I don't know if they do that in baseball, but it's just an inference, right? That is just an inference. All right, another picture. We have a guy with a bird. Looks like the bird has like a cone in its mouth, the seagull. So here's the statement. The bird stole the man's ice cream. It's an observation or an inference. So it's an inference. Why? Because we can't prove that, right? We can't. If you weren't there, we don't know. It looks like he had, based the way his hand is kind of put on his chest, like he was holding something that got snatched, and how he's looking at that bird like it stole something from him. We can't prove that that bird stole his ice cream. We don't even know if he bought the ice cream. Maybe that bird stole it from a little girl, and the man just happened. It almost ran into the man, and that's why he's looking at it like that. Or maybe he's about to laugh because it's funny to see that bird have that cone. We have no clue where that bird got the cone from. It looks like it, but since we didn't see it for himself, we didn't see it for ourselves, we have no clue if that was his ice cream or not. So it's an inference. All right, so here we go. We have some coins on the right. It looks like pretty old coins at that. So there is a representation of a face on one side of the coin. Is that an observation or is it an inference? All right, it's an observation, right? Because there's actually a face on the coin. We can see that. We used one of our five senses, sight, to see that face on the side of that coin. On one of the coins, right? So it's a fact. The coin has the word die, which means God. I don't know if I said that right. So it was made by deeply religious people. Is that an inference or an observation? All right, so that's an inference. We don't know if that has anything to do with religion. It might just be the word die, and that, which also means God, but it doesn't mean someone is religious. Maybe that is a God. I don't know. You know what I mean? We have no clue. We can't make that. We can't prove that the people who made this coin were really religious. Maybe they just put it on there. You know what I mean? We have no clue. So it's just a guess. 1722 is printed on one side of the coin. Observation or inference? All right, it's observation. We can literally see 1722 printed on one side of this coin, so it is a fact it's on there. The coin was made in 1722, sorry. Observation or inference? This is an inference. Just because that is printed on the side, we don't know if that is when it was made. Maybe that's a significant date to the people who made this coin, right? We have no clue. And even if it is a date, it could represent something, other than the year they made that coin. It might just be an important year. It might be Independence Year. We have no clue, right? That's an inference, not a fact. We can't prove it. I mean, if we really went into research, we could prove it. But based off of this picture, that is an inference. We need more information. The face on the coin is a representation of the nation's leader. Observation or inference? All right, this is an inference. We don't know if that's the leader, right? We can't just, from that picture, we have no clue. Just because we put, on our coins in the United States, leaders of our country on them, doesn't mean other countries do. We have no clue who that is. It might be, a god. It could be a fictional character. We have no clue. So we can't prove that either. So once again, it's an inference. So to sum up this lesson, remember, an observation is a fact. You can literally prove it. You've seen it or witnessed it for yourself, whether it was measured, weighed, or the temperature taken, or you used your five senses to determine that observation to be true. Remember, an observation is a fact that you see or witnessed yourself. And no matter how good a guess may be, there's another possibility. You can debate it. Think, if you could debate something, you can't prove it. If you can't tell someone, no, look, I see it, or I hear it, or I smell it, or I taste it, then it's just a guess, and it's an inference. All right. So remember, your FRAIR modules, you need to go ahead. I would start on them because you don't want this to be on your shoulders at the end of this unit. And you're up at, 11 o'clock at night, and they're due at midnight on the day they're due, okay? The last possible hour. Just do them. And if you've already submitted them and you did it the wrong way that you now realize, resubmit them, please. Okay, so the guided practice for this, a lot of you have done it already. If you have not, in Canvas, please complete the observation and inference guided practice. You can access them through the Intro to Science Day 3 page. And then after that, do the independent practice for observations and inferencing. Again, access it through day 3 page. If you need help, please contact me if you have any questions. You also need to complete the exit ticket for observation and inferences. And again, it's on day 3 in your Intro to Science module. Alrighty guys, I'm online. Whenever you need me, you know how to get to me. Take it easy.